is Jpar, and this is the new review. Today on the show, we have Myles, we have Clayton, and we have Da Boo. Today on the show, we review Underworld Blood Wars. So, just to let you know how this is going to work out for you folks, first we're going to do the non-spoiler portion for about 10 minutes. We're going to talk about the movie, and then after about 10 minutes, we're going to flip into spoiler town. That's where we're going to really dig into this movie. We're going to tell you what we really like or what we really don't like about this movie. But before we get into all of that, everybody introduce yourself to the crowd.
It's Clayton back again.
It's your old pal Myles here.
Da Boo's still wondering why he's still around.
Whoa,
that was dark.
That's the effect that Underworld Blood Wars had on Da Boo. He's now questioning life after seeing this movie. He's like, why do we do this anymore?
Why am I here?
And that's what we're going to explain to you, why we're here and why we're watching this movie. Well, maybe we won't be able to explain it, and either way, you'll be entertained just to see how we were maybe punished or pleased to watch this movie. Sometimes it's a gamble, folks, when you go out there and you go see new movies. So, as I was saying on the page earlier, this is Underworld 5? Alright, sure, whatever. Clayton, what's your first impressions of, first of all, the Underworld series, and then what were you thinking going into this particular movie, Blood Wars?
Well, when the first one came out, it was like a huge movie, and everybody was into it. It was a big deal. It was a cool idea. Vampires versus werewolves in modern day setting. And then the second one came out, and they kind of started to go down the tubes, like Jurassic Park style. Jurassic Park 2, and then like 3 starring William H. Macy. Like, you're into rough territory.
Well, Sam Neill was still in 3, but he wasn't really... William H. Macy wasn't the star.
But anyways, by the time 4 came around, I hadn't even bothered. And then when the 5 came around, it was like...
Jurassic World?
No, Underworld.
Oh, okay.
I figured, I'll give it a shot.
Here's an idea. Jurassic Underworld. Ooh. Vampires and werewolves versus dinosaurs. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Oh my god.
You know what?
Don't let somebody...
I better not say that because some low-level writer in Hollywood's like, that's an awesome idea, and he's going to take our idea. Brainstorm. So anyways, let's just bring y'all up to speed on this. I know I said y'all. Why did I do that? Underworld Blood Wars. So this time it's rated R, or maybe I think they've all been rated R, really. Released January 2017. It's another Sony movie studios picture. It's directed by Anna Forrester, and it stars Kate Beckinsale, Theo James, Tobias Menzies, Laura Pulver, and Charles Dance, who I think we all remember from Game of Thrones, who was actually a refreshing addition to this movie. Mm-hmm. I remember when Underworld originally came out, and what was it? What did the original one come out?
Oh,
the first one?
Late
fact
90s?
check. Fact check, please. Let's find out when the original came
2003.
out. 2003. So, at that point, it was kind of, like you said, Clayton, it was cool. It was like vampires versus werewolves in a modern-day setting with guns, and, they still use swords and stuff every once in a while, so it was neat. And it was definitely an effects extravaganza at the time, you know what I mean? And now we're like, that's 2003, and now we're 13 years later, I guess, or 14 years later.
Yeah.
And we have this, Underworld 5, and we're all just kind of like, I don't think any of us even seen 4, right?
I did.
Did you?
Might be the only one.
Yeah, I seen them all.
You seemed to know what was going on, because you were like, don't worry, they're okay. And I was just like, okay, sure, I believe you. So
at that point, I thought everyone was in the same boat as me and seen the last one.
This is something where we definitely talk about the movie, and I'm glad they, as you said, lit a candle for me. That's a term I know you like to use, Myles. They lit a candle for us in this movie because I don't think this is given anything away spoiler-wise, but they kind of brief us on what happened in the previous movies, and I'm glad they did that because I didn't see 4 at all. I'm glad they did that. So what did you think about that, and, what were your thoughts of Underworld, prior to this and, going into this?
So when you say lit a candle, do you mean hang a lantern?
Whatever you said.
Okay,
you know what I mean? So I effed up your,
That's okay.
your saying.
That's okay.
I'll never use one of your analogies again, so.
Okay. So they did one good thing, I think, in the movie. They started the movie with showing you little bits of the last couple movies that came out, because there's such a time gap between all the movies.
There is.
And because they became less popular as each movie came out, less people seen it. So it was really important that everybody knew what was going on, because there was a lot of talk about past characters, situations, things that I really had to dig deep to remember, because I didn't really pay attention to the other movies because they didn't hold my interest start to finish. So my expectations going in, it was going to be caca. I had that, to use that word loosely, pun intended. So I don't even want to give away too much, but I was hoping it was going to be good. We'll just say that. I was really hoping, because the first one was so good. I was hoping they'd recapture some of that magic from the first movie.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Da Boo, your thoughts on Underworld, the original, versus your thoughts going in to see Blood Wars?
I kind of feel the same as everyone else. My expectations were a little higher, I guess, maybe than most. I feel like this series was going somewhere. At the beginning, it was kind of like how Clayton had pointed out, it was very strong, came out very much on top for its time. Now I feel like after so many movies later, I've kind of lost track of a lot of what's been going on story-wise. I even remember at one point asking myself what happened to a particular character. Then I suddenly realized I had missed out on piece number 4.
Yeah.
So of course that sounds like it was a disadvantage to me even. But going into this film, I felt like, okay, I know what level of effects I'm expecting from where the story's coming from to a certain degree. But I don't know. I kind of feel like a little left short-handed here after all this.
Yeah, and my impressions after seeing this, I mean, like I said, Underworld was kind of unique when it first came out, had some good effects. It was vampires versus werewolves done in a cool way, not some, now that we have, something like Twilight. This was way before Twilight. Like, Twilight has that whole romantic thing going on, that was definitely designed for girls. And this is definitely designed, it's just an violent action. In the previous ones had a lot more nudity, and then this one didn't really have that much nudity. I know that one villainess was wearing that very revealing outfit, but but not much nudity as compared to some of the previous ones. They still had the violence. They still had that. But you know what? It kind of just fell. It was just too plain. Like, there was nothing new. There wasn't nothing super extravagant about this that really separated it a lot from the others. Everyone wears black. There's nothing really, you know what I mean? Everything's very drab. I know, I get it. They're vampires. Everything's very goth. But there's just like nothing new to see here. It's kind of like you've seen it all before. You know what I mean? So they're not really presenting anything new. Would you guys agree?
Yeah. The coolness factor for the originals, though, like the first couple, really was the thing about vampires as assassins. Because that's what they are. The Death Dealers are vampire assassins, right? And they work for the vampire hierarchy. And then the Lycans are just like anonymous thugs,
Well, they're slaves, and Lycans are the werewolves, to clear up for people.
Yeah.
Let's go around the table and let's do a rating. Let's do this without revealing too much, so that way the folks at home can still hear this portion, get an idea of what we're talking about in the movie, without revealing too much, and then we'll flip into spoiler town after that. Myles, you want to take us away on this one? Start us out on the rating.
I'm going to give it a big stinky 2.
Wonderful start.
2 out of 5. All right. Well, do you care to elaborate, or are you going to wait until?
No, I'll elaborate. This one definitely seemed like they cheaped out everywhere. Really like quick edits on everything. They didn't hold scenes long, and when they did, it was awkward and weird.
Yeah.
The pacing was off. When they did introduce something new, they didn't explain it or them, so you had no idea what was going on half the time. And the ending literally made no sense at all, and it. We'll just leave it at that. Start to finish, it was like some of the action scenes. The only reason why I got it 2 is some of it was really cool, and it just like it was awesome to see different ways to dispose of werewolves or vampires for that matter, and that was kind of cool. And it was like, oh, that was a cool scene, and then oh crap, here's another 20 minutes of
great.
something I don't care about, or they're not going to elaborate on, so I don't care anyways. So yeah, it gets a big old 2.
All right.
If I could follow up on that, I kind of feel like I wasn't too far off from your 2. It was a 2.5 at the most. Honestly, it was about the same effect. It was just there wasn't enough wow factor for me in the end. Whether or not I had those subplots throughout the story kind of filled in for me. That was my own undoing. But simply said, I've already seen it all. I left with the same impression like I did with the last 2-3 movies. I will say this much, though. There were some moments that clearly were quite entertaining, but I feel like they were for the most of awkward of reasons and not for what they were made. And that's not a good thing, right? Going into a film like this. So I feel like, in my opinion, I was going in serious, leaving feeling like I could have gotten a hell of a lot more. And that's reasons why this one's barely making halfway. It's Mark.
All right. I'm going to be probably a little more generous than the rest of you. I'm going to give it a 3. Entertainment value, I mean, at least it kept me entertained from beginning to end. But yeah, just things that don't make sense. A lot of things I could point out. Easily not a great movie. I just give it like a 3 because, as Myles said, there is some cool stuff in there. There's some, there is cool action scenes and enough, little violent scenes. The vampires versus werewolves is kind of a cool thing, I mean, it's not like the worst thing I've ever seen, but I'm just saying it's not a great movie by any standards, but...
Yeah. Well, I am going to hang with Myles in the basement on this one and give it a 2.
There you go.
Thank goodness.
And there's one thing that I had to point out that you guys talked about, the intro where they go through
The other movies.
they go through the exposition on the other movies. It doesn't say much to me that a movie relies on the exposition of its entire series for the first 10 minutes of the movie to get you up to speed on it. If you were a fan, you would already know that stuff. And also, there are parts in the movie where they use very gimmicky means, like MacGuffins pretty much, to move the plot along.
Yes.
They use really cheap methods to do that, and it feels it feels like the story is lazy, and they just basically use the easiest of tricks to keep things moving forward. Yeah, the ending doesn't make any sense. Scenes that should have come off, like you said, Boo, scenes that should have come off as more action-oriented or serious came off as almost comedic. The mood wasn't there, and yeah, we just seen it all before.
Just simply said, the scenes didn't meet the mark, right?
No.
It's unfortunate, too, because this movie had so much going for it, but there was just something missing every time. It's almost like how you would put it, Myles. You enjoy a moment, yay! Oh, now I got to deal with the rest of this shit in between. Oh, look, another moment, yay! Oh, crap, more of it. That's not a good effect when you're watching a movie, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's sum it up. We got 2 from Myles, 2.5 for Da Boo, 3 from me, and 2 from Clayton. So not very good reviews for Blood Wars Underworld. So let's flip over into Spoiler Town and really dig into this movie, and let's start explaining what our favorite and our least favorite parts of this are. Myles, let's start with you. I think you got lots to say. What's your favorite and least favorite of Blood Wars?
Favorite for me would have to be the very odd action scenes that were actually entertaining that happened once in a while. I think there was a sword fight at one point near the end of the movie, and that was actually pretty cool. But at the same time, the fight between the two people is just like, do I really care? There was so much backstabbing going on. Like, who was on whose side half the time? You never really knew. We're in Spoiler Town right now?
We're in Spoiler Town.
Okay.
Was it just me, or were they trying to push too much Game of Thrones type stuff in there?
Well, what are the odds that they had 3 Game of Thrones characters in the movie?
Yeah.
So
Charles Dance was one of them.
Yeah. They also had the Tully father. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
He was the one guy who had the last longsword of Valyrian steel. Okay. I can't remember his name right now. And then the main antagonist in the movie, he was the last Stark, I think. He's one of the last Starks.
What?
Jamie Lannister used him to take over the castle. I can't remember his name.
Don't recall that guy.
The goddamn antagonist. The
I just don't know which character you're talking about in Game of Thrones.
Okay. Well, I don't remember his name.
I know who you're referring to. I forget his name myself.
How do you guys not remember that guy? He got captured.
He wasn't a significant character. You're talking about the one in the castle where he was. Well, yeah, no.
He had to marry. Oh, I can't believe we're going off the rails here.
We're definitely
it's
going
part
off
of the
Red
Wedding. That was the whole wedding in the first place. They had to marry one of the Starks to one of the
Tullys.
All right.
Was it the Tully?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Anyways, long story short,
Back to Underworld.
So many backstabbing, and you didn't really care because you didn't know why they were backstabbing each other. It didn't really have much motive. Like the one vampire girl, she backstabs the entire coven, and she's by herself. She's the only vampire. What does she think's going to happen when they take over this vampire coven?
And what was and another one that was weird. Remember when like the main villainess there had her little lackey there? That was
and then she just
forced to like go down on her.
Yeah, cunnilingus, dude.
Yeah. That which also was a total scene from Game of Thrones, by the way. Total scene from Game of Thrones. Apparently, Ron the Flame showed up.
Still hitting puberty.
So Jpar just hit puberty after that scene.
Well, it was a very moving scene, guys.
But getting back to so best for me, some of the action. The worst for me is motives for everyone.
Yeah.
Backstory for anyone. There's some people I didn't even know their name. And then when they said their name, I didn't know who they were referring to because they're not in the scene anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you know David? Who's David from 15 minutes ago? Is that David? Yeah, I almost slipped into that. Anyways, you introduce a new vampire faction, which was a cool idea. Like these Nordic tribe of vampires, they're all white-haired and whatever, pale-skinned. But they can move through space really quickly or something, or transport. I don't fucking know. They add it to it, like this huge new concept, but they never talk about it.
It's like they became white wizards or something.
It became a plot device because, spoiler alert, Celine dies. But how does she come back? As one of these fucking white...
She totally like Gandalf.
She comes back as Gandalf.
Yeah, she comes back as Celine the White.
She fights the Balrog.
She shows up and like there's all of a sudden she shows up in that new teleporty power that she has.
Teleporty power.
Well, I don't know what to call it. And then she shows up and then all of a sudden everyone looks up. All this light is behind her, like ah.
Yeah, but
and then she's wearing white all of a sudden because everyone usually wears black in these movies, and then. Apparently, when you go through that mummy process that she went through, or slip through the ice, or whatever happens, you become a white wizard of the vampires?
And then the other problem, they have two subplots going on. They have the one antagonist vampire lady who goes out of her way to get Celine's blood so that she can have 2 seconds of time where she's in the sunlight, and then they kill her off.
Yeah.
Sword through the face.
I know.
Okay.
She totally blows her chest. She's like, oh, it's so beautiful.
And then the hybrid wolf, who, if you remember from the old movies, the hybrid was able to kill everyone, vampire-like, and didn't matter.
Michael?
Yeah. And he drinks the last of his blood. Now he's super crazy strong, and then Celine's like, whatever, I'm going to take your spine out now.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, she's getting super pummeled.
I noticed.
I don't even know how
she
she got out of that moment, like, because I didn't care. Because it was so stupid.
It's funny you bring this scene up because I kind of felt like they could have written that so differently and it would have made things so much better. Kind of the idea that she comes back with these powers of, I can quickly, I'm the Flash, right? I can speed wherever I need to be in a matter of a second. Why didn't she do that before he got into the cage and suddenly she realized that he's right there with her? That would just make more sense. Speed travel behind him,
but even
grab his spine, then that would have been over. That's exactly the way I would have written it. Sorry, I just keep snapping my finger for some reason.
And who is this guy? Who the hell is Marius? You know
I know.
He kind of came out of nowhere.
But how is he new? But he's able to do all this crazy militant stuff. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
He
slip into the light.
Yeah, how did he just slip in?
Ranks.
Because all the other movies were the one guy, but he was there from the beginning, and that made sense. This guy made no sense at all. And he had a huge body scar that was cool that had no story. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
So your favorite was some of the fight scenes, and your least
favorite was the rest of the movie.
The rest of the movie.
Well, you can't even call it a movie because
you
it
gotta
was
pick out
missing
one
things.
Well, you gotta. Okay, so it was only like how long was it? It was very short too.
Yeah, poor editing. Like, is there going to be an extended cut where they explain things or something? Like, I don't understand.
An hour and 31 minutes.
Yeah.
This is one of the few movies where I wish it was longer. Like, I wish it was like 2.5 hours or something.
They could have gave us like 10 more minutes to explain a few
Give
more
us
things.
the Marius Marcus backstory. Give us the David backstory. Give us
And you're right about the quick cuts. I noticed about the
super quick cuts,
too.
but then when they left it long, it was really awkward.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying about
Like the cunnilingus scene, that was a little too drawn out. She's getting eaten out for like a full-on minute, and there's no dialogue. Like,
It's
okay,
just her face.
it's just her face,
And then she's like, oh yeah.
and then she's like,
She has a brief
a
beginning
little to
of
the
an
left, a
orgasm.
little to the left, yeah, like that. It's like, what the hell is going on?
That's how you do
That's
it,
what
G.
about the exposition, though, is that they tried to tell parts of the story, and then when they felt they needed to move things along, they did the blood got in my mouth, and now I can see all the memories, and zip, and
That
now
was
we're all of a
weird,
sudden
too.
ahead. Like,
Was that in the previous movies where they
Yes.
drank each other's
Yeah.
blood and they could see
Yes.
each other's memories?
There was
Oh,
memories
yeah.
in the blood.
yeah,
In my
because
opinion,
that was the whole key
All
behind
right.
the ring.
Do you want to take a shot at this,
Yeah.
Da Boo?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, that was actually one of my favorite parts of this entire series, by the way, was this idea of drinking someone's blood in terms of that had a history behind it. You know, they'd drink it and they'd know exactly what they'd been through and all that. That was one of my favorite aspects of this. This one didn't really utilize that properly, but... Well, okay, let's say my most favorite. I might have to think hard on that. I will say this. I really do love the visual effects. It still is visually appealing to me, and I think I might have to give it credit for some of the more creative moments when you least expect it, you find a new way to kill something from a different point of view. But in this case, they always seem to be cutting through things like butter, and I kind of feel like that's where some of the scenes got, lost its luster for me. I think when that one scene there where she was coming out of the pool of water, the little spa pool there,
Yeah.
and came out with her sword and just cut the lichen in half with the sword. Like, to me, that was not only entertaining to watch, but it was almost a little too much.
That was actually the dude that flew out of
Yeah,
water.
it was David that come out of the...
Actually, I don't even think his name was David.
Wasn't it?
Was it David
No.
that did that? You're right.
And that's the thing. Who gives a fuck?
It doesn't make a difference. Yeah, sorry. You're
Tom.
absolutely
Yeah.
right.
Tom.
David was the old vampire leader of that covenant in the north.
No, that was Tom.
David.
Oh, yeah, okay. Thomas was the...
Thomas was Charles
Chance.
Dance.
Yeah.
Chance.
And David was his son.
Theo James.
David was the young one that was
What is
protecting
happening?
Celine. Yeah, see, this
It's
is
I don't know who's who.
Movie I watched.
So I have to admit, it's not holding on much, but I feel like that's why I can
Well,
always say visual effects are my favorite aspect.
Wait a
because
minute.
as
Why
far
do
as
they
David-
name like shitty fucking names?
You're still caught up.
That
on
means
it.
I still don't even know who the old bald guy
Like
was.
they
the
always
leader.
had good names.
I thought it was
in the
David.
past.
I don't know.
They always had good names in the past because there was like Celine, like Marius is this other guy's name.
His
They
name
had
was
Cassius.
Thomas.
There's
Vito.
No,
Cassius.
his name was Thomas.
You know what I mean?
Vampire. Oh, wait, that was Charles Dance. Was Thomas?
Oh, sorry. What did I say?
Vidar. It's Vidar.
I said Tom.
Pretty sure.
Oh yeah, Vidar.
Vidar.
I don't
Vidar?
even remember
Vidar?
them saying
Vidar.
Vidar.
I was
Darth
gonna say,
Vidar.
That's like Vidar. That's what I was saying. It's almost like Vader.
Did someone actually say Vidar in the movie? Darth
I
Vidar?
don't
They may
recall.
not have, yeah.
Are you referring to the bald one that was at the Northern Fortress? I think
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Honestly, I didn't even.
I
care for
honestly
his
thought
name.
it was
All right,
David.
so
'cause
there
they're
you
like,
go.
hey, David's
That's
in the back.
about. So that's already an example right there. Like we don't know the characters' names. That's
Yeah.
not good.
And that's leading up to one of my biggest gripes of this movie, which is my least favorite of this. I feel like there was just not enough information for me to actually enjoy this film. It got
Yeah.
to the point where I was nitpicking at things that I really shouldn't have been. Hence the moments of humor that should not have been there. So simply say that.
Yeah.
I will give it this. I've never seen a movie like this, other than this one I should say, that actually had more creative methods of putting a woman's face in something.
Because that's
Let's
Or a man's face, for that matter.
let's avoid punching her in the face directly. Let's figure out a full list of things we can do to her face without it being directly fist to face, right? So what was she got? A face full of a wall, a face full of pillar,
Yeah.
and then
The
I
mirror.
think that's what they ended with. A face full of why does I keep saying fist? Face full of mirror.
Don't forget
Which-
a climactic ending. Her face disappeared.
Yeah, or suddenly her face
With
got
a
a
sword.
complete makeover. It's pretty bad when I come away from a movie like this where I'm trying to see where they're going with it, and the story took me nowhere, and yet at the same time I found entertainment in things that I should not have.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's about the easiest and probably the friendliest way of me putting it this way. Clearly, the movie was not entertaining me in ways it should have, so I feel like that's where I'm going to leave it.
all right.
Jpar, let's see here. There's 3 of yours.
Well, okay. So you want me to defend a 3?
Yeah, defend a 3.
Well, it's not like 3 is a great rating.
It's still.
I've
I'm
seen
just
better
saying.
movies
I've seen worse movies though too. That's the funny thing. Like at least I could sit there from beginning to end, and I was somewhat entertained. Even as you're saying, even if it was like an entertaining, stupid thing that happens, like okay, I think one of the things that we were laughing about is near the end, Celine and that main villain are like they like look at each other, and she gives him like this come hither look, and like. So, and she goes into the hallway as like, we're gonna get this on, right? Like, in the hallway. Like, alright. So he gets into the hallway, and I expect him to turn around, there's Celine ready to fight. No, it's some fucking jobber who just runs in, like, yeah! Runs in with a sword. And then, like, this guy, the boo beside, he's like, who's that guy? And I just fucking laugh because that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, this guy is gonna be dispatched like lettuce from a hamburger, you know what I mean? Like,
definitely entertaining, but not for the right reasons. Come on now.
Like he just was like, this guy's dead. Like you expect like a big showdown between Celine and this guy, and gone. And then another thing, as you said, how many times can we like smash her face into something? We can't have this guy actually punch her in the face. He might seem like a villain if he punches a girl, even though she's trying to stab him with a fucking sword. You know what I mean? So it's like, instead of him like physically punch her in the face, let's just smash her face into the wall and then smash it into a mirror. Smash it. You guys like mentioned it. It's like, how many times are you gonna smash her face into something? And then like 30 seconds later, they did it one more time.
Yeah,
so we all burst out laughing like, holy fuck, man. Like, let's think of a new attack on this girl, you know?
So what's your good part of this movie, Jpar?
Yeah.
You know what?
It doesn't exist.
You know what I love what
Because
we were
we're
ranting
having
about
fun
is
talking about it, because it's
Yeah.
still one of those movies, even though it's not good, it's like cheese, but it's like good cheese. You can go and you can enjoy it, because
It's
even
a
though
franchise killer.
Oh,
That's what
it's
this
not.
movie
It's
is.
not good that
It's
way.
over.
No.
Well, yeah, you're right. It's not like a. I see where they were trying to do. I will give them credit for trying to make a story out of it and trying to add more lore or add something new to it, or even make the option to say, okay, well, now we can hand it off to maybe the daughter of Celine.
No, the only thing they're handing it off to is a bargain bin at Zeller's. That's where this movie is going to end up.
They're trying to make it grow legs, but
They're
Well,
trying
they
to
are.
stretch this. They're trying to
Yeah.
stretch
Well,
this.
of course
way
they're
too
trying to stretch it, but why not? It's that or reboots. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're-
why don't they just leave it alone? The whole point is that the
because they
stories
don't
have...
do that nowadays.
I know, but this is where you got to be careful. When you continue a franchise, you better be doing it for the right reasons. And if you just make it too obvious to some of us, which I think we're simply admitting it now even, it's too easy to fall into the fluff category. It's filler. It's there just for the amusement of, oh, more eye candy. And that's it. I don't feel like this is a movie that kind of feels
right.
well
It's very much
established
like it.
as this is the next step, the next evolutionary moment in the story. If you want me to keep looking at it, movie after movie, draw me in for good reasons. Don't draw me in for the same reasons the first movie started, had me off watching it. That was too easy. You're just relying on the same method every time of storytelling. There's got to be something new to it, right? And I feel like that's where this one didn't take.
Even the trailer, the first half of the trailer is talking about the first 4 movies. That was a bad sign for me. That was a red flag. It's like, wow, that means they acknowledge that no one has kept up with this series since the first movie.
You're right. Like, even the very beginning of the movie, they're like, by the way,
10
this is
minutes.
what happened.
And you know what? It actually needed to be a little bit more, because there was one scene where she got a little blood in her mouth, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Everyone, I gave some blood to him, gave some blood to her. Now everyone can walk in the sunlight, Twilight style."
I can
It's
see
like, I
the
don't care.
potential in them trying to grow on the lore and trying to make new things out of it. I see the effort. So I can see that. But, I mean, I'm not saying they succeeded. I'm just saying, in comparison to movies, there's worse movies to watch. I'm not saying it's a great movie. I'm not saying this is the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's just, it was there. Like, honestly, it was. And
I
that's,
bet you Charles Dance, to do this movie, said, "You better fucking kill me off, because I do not want to be in any more of these shit movies. Holy crap."
yeah.
He wasn't in any of the other ones, was he?
He was in the last one.
Was he?
Yes.
Oh, see? I didn't even know that, because I didn't watch the last one.
Well, there you go.
The point
No,
is
who
that
did?
the franchise
Okay, so here's-
deserved
I didn't even
a
know
dignified
that.
death, though.
You talking
Well,
about...
so was Theo, or whatever the hell his name was in this movie.
Yo!
That's his real name. Theo James as David.
Oh, yeah. He was actually my favorite thing about the movie. When I saw that he was in it, I was like, oh shit! I'm like, maybe
Oh, shit!
I was oh shit! I'm coming out of the booth! Charles Dance! Oh, never mind. This is getting terrible.
That was really bad.
Stop it! So I said, "Oh shit! Like, I mean, this could actually be good." And then he just died, and then it wasn't good. As soon as that happened, too, he's like, "Oh yeah, you just go on ahead, and I'm gonna fight them." Like, you can't fight them. You're an old guy.
Yeah, but in
He's a
this vampire lore,
I know.
the older you are, the more powerful you are.
I know, but I knew right away it was a setup to kill him, and I'm like, okay, if you guys are gonna make it so obvious, like, I mean, I have very little hope for the rest of this movie, and it's like, boom, fucking stabby stab, he's dead. Like, oh great, there goes the best actor of the movie. So it's kind of like my favorite part, and one of my maybe my least favorite part is like bad use of characters in story.
I simply said just
That was
bad-
your
bad-
favorite part?
No, that's my least favorite.
Oh.
Bad
What
use of.
was your favorite part?
I
feel like you Charles danced all around that fucking question.
I said.
Yeah, the only thing I remember
I
you
said
saying
Charles
in
dance.
this part where
I
we all
was happy
talked
to
about how
see Charles
crappy it
dance.
was.
I said I was happy to see Charles dance.
Oh, I'm
in the
so
movie.
glad this movie's crappy so I can take a crap on it later.
I
That's
said,
what you like about it. Wow. Fuck this movie. Don't make any more Underworld movies, please. The first movie can't get any better, and that's the worst part about it, is they're shitting on the first movie.
Yeah.
It's like The Matrix all over again. They should have stopped after
Just
the first
stop
one.
after
You
the
know,
first
just
one,
stop.
It brought up another worry for me, which I think Jpar had brought up. It's obvious they continued it. Of course, they got to introduce the daughter in that extra. She's got to take over for Selena. I'm thinking, fuck no, please no.
I was
don't do
hoping
that.
they shoehorned the daughter in as like this reshoot. They're like, oh fuck, this movie's terrible.
That's what
we
I'm
gotta
worried
end it. We gotta end it. How do we end it? Well, she's looking for her daughter. Well, let's give her her fucking daughter.
Yeah.
There's another problem.
That was a problem
the
I had too.
daughter's face was CG'd.
Oh, okay, was
It
it?
wasn't even her. Why did you CG her face?
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Nobody watched the last movie. They
Exactly.
don't even know what she
You
looks
could've
like.
recast her.
nobody knows
Could've
that.
Could have
totally
been
recast her.
anybody. Put a guy in. Fucking 2017.
Carrie Fisher's face. But
Yeah, who gives a shit?
CG.
Yeah,
Well, they
man.
might give a shit about Carrie Fisher's face,
Yeah.
but
Too soon.
Yeah, okay. So, like I said, I agree with some of the fight scenes were cool, and some of the violence in the scenes, so that's good. I agree, I said other good stuff was the stuff that we can laugh at.
Yeah.
And Charles Dance was in the movie, so that's the good.
That's your 3 points.
That's the good.
I think the only good is
Those
the last
three combined make up a good.
I was
But
insulted.
honestly, you're right. Like the story
I paid
and
money.
characters were misused.
Yes. And the introduction of the new stuff, if they would have expanded on this other world that they could go to when they, like, die or quote-unquote die, that would have been interesting. You know, give us 20 minutes of this world where Celine's, like, I don't know, maybe sees Michael or some shit because he's there. Or maybe sees other elder vampires or
definitely-
something.
I don't understand why she bites into her own wrist to remember things.
That's I didn't understand
Oh, yeah, that was weird.
I forget something.
And the memories she was
Just-
picking were so fucking
Oh.
weird.
Oh, that's how-
Oh, yeah. She was remembering the scene from the second movie where she was boning Michael. How is that going to help her in this? Oh, God, yeah, that's good. Oh, man, it gave me a good dicking. And that scene
Was just-
from the second movie, if you remember the scene where he's f***ing her in that movie, it didn't make sense because he was. I don't know if you guys have made love before, but the penis goes in the vagina. But the way he was making love to her, it was definitely the belly button where he was entering.
Yeah, like
So I don't know if vampires
are werewolves, but
they have
over her
vaginal
face.
canals that start at their belly button.
This is just
and
getting
just
lewd.
wrap around. I don't fucking know.
apparently Myles was really paying attention to that scene.
Well, it was amazing because that was the introduction to Kate Beckinsale under the suit.
Anyways, you gotta let me rip into this because I got 2 barrels loaded up for this thing.
All right, I think I said my favorite and least favorite. Go ahead.
Okay, well, my favorite part and the moment that I knew I was in for a good time with this movie was when we walked into the theater on time and there was like 5 other people in the theater, and it never really
And 4
filled
of them
up.
came with you.
And this is like the opening weekend of the movie. So if nobody saw 4, even
Is this
less
opening
of
weekend?
nobody.
No.
This
or
is
was
the
it last
second weekend,
This is
yeah.
the second weekend. But okay, so it's the second weekend, and if nobody saw 4, then even less of nobody saw 5. And there are plot holes that just don't make any sense. So they go to the vampire hippie commune, right? Which is what I call it, the commune in the north, where everybody wears fur white coats.
Everyone's white, wears white instead of black.
Even though for whatever reason they're cold bloods, And I have to point this out.
Oh, thank you.
At one point,
Yes.
the lead vampire of the commune says,
Yes.
the Lycans won't come up here. It's too cold for them. Unless they happen to wear jackets, in which case we're all fucked.
Yeah, but
He actually comes right out and says it. He says, the Lycans won't come here. It's too cold for them.
it made no sense because he
And
said
then
we're
5
cold
minutes
bloods.
later, yeah.
Does he not know science?
Yeah, and then
Cold-blooded creatures like the worm.
Celine comes back from the sacred land, which for whatever reason she reappears as white, as Gandalf the White,
Celine the White.
Celine, and for whatever reason, once you pass into the land, the sacred land, when you come back, you have frosted tips. I'm not
And a
sure
fur
why.
coat.
And yeah, and she's a cold blood. She's wearing skin tight latex,
But-
with a fur coat over top.
Don't forget the prerequisite. You have to have a Lord of the Rings or Hobbit-esque type death, and then you come back as
The resurrection,
Gandalf the White. Because she like floats away like
Nobody came to save her.
Yeah, she's
They
like,
just
oh
left her
god,
there.
Scott Speedman, and then slips into the water. Like, what the hell was that? And then it, like,
she slips away like Thorin does in Hobbit in the Battle of the Five Armies under the ice. She's like, oh, the water. That's right. That thing that white-haired lady told me
she's
earlier.
like, the water is the way.
Yeah, and the
Okay,
water's like,
I'm
oh
just
yeah.
gonna
So if I just slip in the water,
slip into this frigid
somehow
lake
they're gonna
on the
find
ice.
me, mummify me, and then I become Celine the
Yeah,
White.
but
with
that
teleporting
whole thing
powers.
where I couldn't believe that, where he said the Lycans won't come up here, it's too cold, and then suddenly jackets. Like, you know,
Yeah,
what I
but why
mean?
did she put herself under the ice
We
in the
never
first
thought
place?
of that.
Why did she put herself under the ice in the first place?
Because Daenerys Targaryen told her that,
That made
the
no
water
sense.
was the way.
If they would have
To
said
the
just a
sacred
little
land.
blurb like, "Oh, we can still revive her because she put herself in the
wasn't-
water,"
Well, and that's what
it
I
was
mean.
something.
And that's
Give
what I
us
mean.
something.
Theo or whatever the hell his name
David.
is.
David.
What's his name from? He
Divergent.
looks
They
over.
all have cool names.
He looks
until
over the thing and he
Thomas
sees.
and David
he looks
come around.
over the
What's going
ice
on?
like 100 feet, 200 feet down to the lake and sees her body under the ice and he's like, I gotta go get her. And
Yeah,
then
but
they
he
go
didn't
get
even
her.
say that.
And then they don't. They just
They
cut
don't
that
show
whole
that
out,
either.
And then
Once
she
again,
just
10 minutes that could have
reappears.
been added. It's like, let's find her at the bottom of that
She
place, or
re-
see
she
her
reappears
float
in the
ashore
water.
somewhere, and they grab her. Like, where was that?
And they're putting the white stuff. Yeah, and I didn't understand that. Like when she comes back, she has those powers. But like the whole thing with like the frosted tips and the white jacket and the suddenly I know everything aura that she was kind of emitting there before she got like the whole scene got jobbered on there.
Well, there's another problem you brought up. When they went to the Norse commune, they kept calling them like peacekeepers or
hippies.
They don't
They're like,
fight.
they
Those
don't
people don't fight. And then
Okay,
you
we
go
haven't
there,
fought in a while.
and they're all
Shing.
Norse.
They all got guns.
Yeah, they have guns. They have shurikens. They have swords and shields. They're like Amazonian people. It's like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
Another thing too.
Hippies don't have swords.
Another thing with the editing too. When the Lycans were evacuating from the commune after what's his name there, Marius tells them. He roars really loud or whatever, and then he calls them all.
Yeah.
I would swear that they recut the same CG scene of the Lycans jumping out of the commune, running out of the door, twice. They showed the same footage twice in a row.
I agree.
Because you saw the same Lycan jump over the wall twice in a row.
And that was another big part. I hate to jump in even more. The special effects were fucking terrible.
Oh, yeah.
They were shit.
They-
That was
they-
one of the
they
good
weren't
parts
improved.
about Underworld. No, it went down.
Yeah, downgraded.
The
I don't know
first
if it
one,
went-
at least
I don't
there was
know if
some-
it took a hit.
At least
I
there
don't
was
know if
some
it went
puppetry.
down or just never improved.
It went down. There was animatronics in the first one.
Yeah,
Like when
there
they're
was.
fully
Yeah.
like actual evolved, that was a suit. Like there was somebody in there and it was awesome.
Well, you know the
this
budget
one was
went
crap.
down.
Oh yeah, it went right,
Well, they're
right
like
down.
they're on a train. Well, for some reason it turns into like
And
Lord of
the
the Rings with a
slow-mo.
train, and you see the train
Yeah,
snaking
and
through.
then they're all suddenly
And
on
then
horses.
Suddenly,
Where'd they get the
there's no
horses?
reason they're on a horse. But they could have been like, let's take snow machines. Well, the budget won't really allow it. Let's take horses for about 5 seconds.
And where'd they get the horses? What did they do with the horses? Did they eat the horses after?
Why
all?
did they need
They're
horses?
They're train horses.
They
know, why
don't.
do they
They don't
horse?
get tired and they run
Cool.
super fast.
Well, they're immortal. So let's
I don't
face it, they don't
understand.
care for the walk. I get that it's gonna take forever, but that's
Yeah,
a good
but
point. Why do you
it
need a
takes
horse?
longer to go on a fucking horse unless it's a vampire horse.
You know, the thing is, too, though, is that
That'll
they
be
went
in the
up
next
there,
movie.
They went up there on the train, right? Okay, they went up there on the
Underworld
train.
6, Attack of the Vampire Horses.
They went up there on the train, and then they took horses, and then they walked, and the Lycans didn't leave until long after they were gone north, and yet the Lycans showed up 5 minutes after
Yeah.
they did. They took the same train, probably took the same horses, possibly ate them, walked the rest of the way, did the little jump up the icicle waterfall.
Okay, how many times did they show
The icicle waterfall?
well the fucking castle?
Oh, I don't know.
Which
a couple?
one?
the main castle that they were in. It seemed like
That main castle made no sense.
they showed it so many
When they
times.
locked it
They showed
down,
it like 4 or 5
They were welding the
times,
gate shut.
and they keep showing
Yeah, throughout the entire movie, after that, like 5 minutes later, everybody could just still go through this welded shut. What the fuck was he doing then?
It was almost like they were
What was he
acknowledging the
doing?
weakness of the goddamn gate in the first place because they
Yeah,
always have to
but
fucking
it
send
didn't
someone else to
work.
fucking weld. I know, so it's
we better
pointless
weld
every
that
time.
thing up.
Yeah, we caught on to
But
that.
it
I'm like,
didn't matter.
We
Just
just-
immediately after that fucking broad that betrayed everyone, that stupid one of the Olsen twins. That's who she looked like.
Yeah,
to
I
me.
know.
She shows up. She
like-
smiles awkwardly at the camera. Hey, it's me again. I smile now. Why are you smiling?
I know, she shows back up and she just looks right at the camera and she's like,
You
hi.
stupid bitch.
I know.
Yeah, but why would she go to the gate that they just welded? I don't understand. How did she get in? Who fucking cares? You know what I mean?
She jumped over.
That's who.
She jumped
That's how
over,
she did
which
it.
most of them would.
Which
probably
everyone would do.
because lichens can jump.
Then why
apparently.
did she buzz and fucking smile? You know what I mean? Just fucking go to the gate, jump over it. Don't even put it in the movie.
Like,
Oh.
I know. The
Oh,
real
my
funny
blood.
thing was that when you and me were sitting together, Boo, you actually made a point about the fact that the car blasted through the gate, and then said something like, "Man, well, they're going to have to put that gate back up." And the next scene, you hear the welder going.
that's what I'm
And
saying.
the camera pans over, and there's a guy welding up the gate. Like, you just never see that.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one that caught on to that. I'm thinking, why the hell are they welding the gate now? I mean, it's kind of pointless, isn't it? Because he just took it out 2 seconds ago with a fucking plain old car.
Yeah, but where he was
Nothing
welding it
fantastic.
didn't even make any sense.
It looked like he was just welding
there was
it on
there
the
was
gate
a gap
itself.
between the gate and the wall, and he's
just
on the
welding.
gate.
He's
Well, what I'm thinking
What
is like,
is he welding? He's making it weaker, if anything.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, what is he just welding it completely shut? Fuck the hinges. We're just closing this thing for good. Fuck it, boys.
Yeah,
So I've
sense.
opened a
I'm not
floodgate
even a
here.
welder.
I've opened a floodgate here. Everybody, as soon as you start thinking of things that you can attack in the movie, it's a landslide. And that was for me the worst
Continuity
part.
within itself.
That was the worst part, though. It was the fact that the movie could barely take itself seriously. And I mean,
But it
it's
tried
supposed
to, and
be-
that's the worst part.
Yeah, it failed as an action. Well, it didn't really fail as an action movie, but it failed as a serious narrative. And by the end of the movie, well, at least me and Boo were kind of laughing sometimes. And
I was
you
laughing,
guys
dude.
were.
I was
Yeah.
laughing. I didn't say I wasn't
And
laughing.
I don't know how seriously the people around us were taking it, but they must have thought like, this is. I'm the worst part about this movie is that there's going to be a part 6.
Well, I do try to take, even though I know the movie's going to be bad, I do try to take it seriously when we do go.
I
so,
did,
like,
but by the time
so I can have some real comments when we're out here.
by the time she got her head biffed off the wall there, like the 5th time, whoever she was, the villainess.
Well, at that point, we were just having fun.
It was
The
broken
movie.
down by then. Like I couldn't even be bothered.
It was
to pay
definitely
attention.
off the rails
And
at
the
that
fact
point.
that we didn't really catch any of the names of anybody made it really hard to pay attention to the story because you didn't care. Like you said,
Yeah,
Myles, you
you
didn't
didn't
care.
I will say this after seeing this one: if the next one doesn't have me in complete shock by something dramatic, I'm not going to really care on how they decide to end this. Because at this point, I'm almost expecting them to figure out a way where either Celine kills her own daughter and doesn't know it, or her daughter ends up killing her, or vice versa. I want something dramatic. Otherwise, this whole series.
I
is
want
gonna
them
end
to
on a bad
all
note.
stand in front of a train, and then the train takes them all out.
Well, the thing
A
is,
nightshade train.
they
Yeah,
have replaced.
that'd be nice.
They have basically hit the reset button right now. There's only one. There's one vampire coven and there's one Lycan group. So there's not. It's not like there are vampire covens spread all over the world and there are Lycan groups spread all over the world now. They've reduced it back to one.
So okay, yeah. So that's what I mean. There is a potential if they did a 6, but not really. They could make it kind of a reboot because they could make it
refocus
her
the
daughter, and then they could make it. They could say it's like how many years later, and they make it the daughter, and then it's not about Kate Beckinsale's character at all. So they can make it a new character within the same world.
Mm-hmm.
But so I saw that potential. Not necessarily make a 6, but make like a new story out of that world. But it's like she's carrying on the legacy kind of thing. Make a new story out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Like
fine.
the world is great. Like the fantasy world is great that it's in. They just need to use it properly, which they didn't.
I
in
don't
this.
think the writers didn't take it seriously.
So I
More
mean,
seriously than
yeah. Well, I mean,
This was also a directorial debut for the director.
oh well.
that. Whoa,
And that's
the
another
last
problem.
movie he ever made too.
Well, that's the other problem. The first 2 movies made by one director, and then after that, it was a new director. So you don't have that like George Lucas, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, continuity where he knows
So-
what he wants, start to finish.
Yeah.
he goes there.
Yeah.
Or Steven Spielberg,
Yeah.
or whatever.
You spent 30 years getting us to Jar Jar Binks.
Well, the prequels don't exist, though, so
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So Scott Speedman did the original 3, right?
Yeah.
I don't even think he was in the third one. I'm
No,
pretty
he
sure
didn't
it was
do
an
it.
extra.
The Scott Speedman trilogy.
No, it was Scott.
Well, it went 1, 2, prequel, and then they
Oh,
started
right.
the movie
Oh.
off by
Yeah, you're
abducting Speedman, and I swear on someone's grave that was not Scott Speedman in the fourth movie.
Some
I
random
swear.
guy's grave.
And that's when I knew the movie was going to be bad, when even one of the main characters didn't show up. And they kept doing, like, hair flips so that his hair was hey, follow me. He's wearing a trench coat.
It's like, is that
Like, why
it?
are we in the darkness?
How come you're not ever looking at the camera?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I swear he wasn't in that movie. Because
What
the
is
first 5 minutes was him getting abducted, and it's just like, do I care to watch more? Oh, I should probably watch the rest.
It's just like footage of them like following him around while he does groceries and all his daily things. He's like, he's never gonna know.
He's not following me?
He's never gonna know he's in this movie.
What does it say if a C-lister like Scott Speedman doesn't even want to touch the last movie? You know what I mean? He's
Yeah,
like,
and he did
they're
a movie in Sudbury, for
we're
shit's
thinking
sakes.
about doing a new Underworld. He's like, nope, slams the door.
Fuck
in my
that
face.
shit.
Not doing that.
Yeah.
Been there.
All right, so what was your favorite and least favorite?
Well, my favorite.
I was like the movie. I can't remember.
My pluses and minuses on that movie are very ambiguous because, like I said, I walked into the movie theater and it's the first time in a long time I've gone to a movie theater where I didn't have to trip over people to get into my seat when the movie had been out for less than a month.
Well, you stick with us, kid, and you're gonna be doing that a lot more.
Yeah, right away I was like lowering the bar as I was walking up the step stairs.
Well, you're lowering the bar being on the show. So.
But then, yeah, like
What am I talking about? This is a great show.
the action scenes were good and whatnot, but yeah, there was nothing to hold them together, and their plot holes were numerous and gaping. Like,
Yep.
Gaping.
yeah, so it was really hard to actually take it seriously, and that's why I'm with Myles on the 2.0. I just
So wait, what was your favorite?
you play it back and listen to it.
Maybe I should because I think I was talking when you were telling me, so that's my bad. All right, so that is our review for Underworld, and as you see, we can barely, we were confused by the movie, and it was there. It did stuff. We laughed. we definitely laughed.
I didn't laugh.
Underworld 5.
Honestly, I was insulted.
The first breakout
Okay.
comedy of 2007.
Myles was insulted, and we just took it for what it was and laughed at it.
Yeah, and probably ruined it for you in the process.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't really ruin
Kate
it.
Beckinsale still looks good though. If anybody
she
cares
does,
to
yeah.
hear about
She's
that,
a
fine
she
wine.
still rocks that.
Yeah, that's
latex.
something that's
Yeah.
that's at least a good thing I could say about it too.
Yeah.
Is that Kate Beckinsale still looks great, and it's good to have her back for this movie. She probably won't be back for 6. This is probably her last.
This is a paycheck movie for everybody.
Yeah, this is like, okay, this is it. I'm gonna like try and write my character out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and she probably
They
wanted
lit
to
the
be.
franchise on fire, like poured gasoline all over it, ran, and then shot a match behind them and just walked out of the building with their sunglasses on and said, "Fuck it, I'm a millionaire." And can we talk about this movie? I want to say this should have been called Underworld Breath Wars. There was such an emphasis
Shit.
on the breathing.
I know what you're talking about.
They would slow it down, they would cut the music, and it would just be breathing awkwardly. It's like, why are you breathing? I don't care. There was even one moment where Kate Beckinsale's like, hey, grunt 2 times for yes. And, okay. And that set the precedent. It's like, okay, now you can grunt everywhere. And
We were just
We
commenting
were
on it
talking
before
about
we
that
started
too.
this.
Oh.
How there was a scene where 2 people were like grunting at each other. They're like, ugh, and then the other was like, ugh, and then the other guy like, ugh, back, and then suddenly someone jumped on that person, and they're in their face. I'm like, ugh, like this is great dialogue.
Yeah, but they would do those showdowns all the time where 2 people would look at each other, they would cut the music, cut the track, and they just... It was like a Mentos commercial or some shit. God.
The Fresh Baker.
The franchise breaker.
Oh,
franchise
Jesus.
breaker.
Is Overrock.
It's over, Rack. You bum. Underworld 5, the franchise breaker.
Yeah.
So that is our review for Underworld Blood Wars. Did anyone else have any departing comments?
Don't watch the movie.
Yeah,
You'll never
save
get
your
it.
money and
Do
wait
laundry.
You know, and one last thing though, the subplot with David suddenly becoming Jesus halfway through the movie. What was that all about?
That was Return of the King and a half.
Yeah, I know.
But nobody knew that to begin with, so
they're
who
like,
cared?
you are the chosen one. He's like, oh, really, me? And then he, like, there's a kid running in front of him, and he picks her up and then puts her down, like, 2 feet later. Because she couldn't have made it that 2 feet.
Like I said, they try to make it very Games of Thrones-esque.
Here's the other problem with that. When he goes to the council and he gives everybody blood, there was only 1 drop of blood, so I'm assuming...
I know, and then suddenly there's a... Okay, so there's 1 drop
everyone got a
in the
vial. I'm assuming now that those memories are his memories, so he gave his own blood.
That's what I thought too.
But he smells something. And
I
swear he smelled the box or something.
Yeah,
He's like, oh, that smells like your mother.
Are you saying when one of the elders had smelled, which I think was the ring that contained the blood, and I think he had opened it and
it
took a
smelled
sniff,
like her?
and
I know what you guys are talking
blood.
about. So, like, the son or...
But that was never mentioned in any movie, that
They
they can
definitely-
smell people through their blood.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Leonisis or some shit name that you
olfactory
won't know who I'm
nerves are
talking about.
Isn't it safe to say this is their same approach to them drinking someone's blood and gaining memories off of that? It's almost like they can identify
I mean,
blood.
the son gets 1 drop. David
He
gets 1 drop.
definitely drank the
And
whole
he
thing.
drank the whole thing.
He tilted his head back for a drop. It's a drop.
And then all of a sudden,
Put it on your finger,
they show
you
up
asshole.
with enough for everyone, like they're 5-hour energy shots.
He's like,
You know,
there's 1 drop of blood in the ring. Don't spill it. Okay, cool. Then he shows up with like a 6-pack for everybody. Okay, guys, let's shoot this stuff and remember everything.
And then you have creepy old grandpa dude. Oh, this smells so good. It smells like your mother.
Wow, that would have made for much more interesting.
This review is just devolving into something just totally crass.
That's because the movie was so bad. Who gives a fuck?
We need like another 10 minutes of filler. I mean, they gave us an hour and a half of filler. The least we can do is give you 10 minutes of filler.
The continuity within its own movie was so bad. Like, it's like they forgot what they did 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Like, what? Hey, the gate fell down. Fuck it. Why some guy welding another gate?
You know, I wonder if the guy was even an actor. What if he was a real
Here's the
welder?
other
They just
part.
called him onto the set and just shot him into the scene.
When the Lycans showed up to take over the castle, they somehow found some secret cool route. You know what I mean?
How was... Oh, by the way... By the way,
gate go?
has none of these vampires heard of stealth? Every time they show up, it's like, oh, by the way, the Lycans followed us. It's like, you idiots!
And-
They followed you to Celine's hideout, and Celine, like, trusts them. It's like, yeah, I trust you, even though you led a bunch of werewolves here. And then they go to that other secret, the northern blah, blah, blah place. And then they go there, it's like, oh, by the way, we were followed by some Lycans. You fucking morons!
Yeah.
None of you vampires know stealth?
The traitor vampire chick who walks into the security room.
You mean Miley
starts-
Cyrus?
Yeah, or fucking the Olsen twin.
One of them.
Yeah, both of them.
Mary Kate or
together.
Ashley.
They morphed
It's
into a
Mary-
vampire.
Mary Ashley.
Yeah, anyways, and Kate. She starts massaging rando security guard, and it's like they had some sort of weird love thing
that they
because
never talked
he
about.
started to lean back into it. He's like, oh yeah, I like this weird
I
shit.
love when she does this
And
to
then
me.
he snaps his neck, and then presses one button, security system off. That doesn't do anything in the building.
Yeah.
So when the security system is off for this super high-tech vampire coven that everyone's like, this is Fort Knox, it does nothing.
They never apply it.
It makes
That
no
place-
sense.
If that place is
Help
Fort
me.
Knox and Fort Knox gets broken into
Because
twice a week.
Because you left clicked on the wrong part of the screen on your Commodore 64. You fucking hack.
Yeah.
Shoot this
What about when Thomas is trying to show David?
Oh my god.
Thomas, for whatever reason, divines that the villainous there is behind everything, and he's like, "Come with me, I know a secret way." And he like turns to the wall and hits a button, and the wall flips open. And
I
he
know!
knows that a secret.
No one notices.
No one noticed.
And it's also just
He
happens
just
to be
turned
right
around too
there.
quick, yeah.
I wanted to say that too.
Turn around. If you
everything
turn
in this
around, they
movie-
don't know what you're doing.
Everything in this movie was Everything in this movie was very conveniently placed.
Oh yeah.
It was
Because they're like, oh, we can't go that way. It's like, I guess we can't go that way. Well, guess what, son? We literally just turn around and This secret wall just happens to be right here.
The guys who were guarding that watched them do that.
I know.
And
they didn't tell the two people who walked into the room later on. They were surprised. Oh, how did you get here? What?
And then
you had to go through your inept guards to get here. They should have said, hey, fucking old guy and his son just went in the wall somewhere. Did you know that they could do that? I don't fucking care.
Oh my
It's fucking Blood Wars.
This movie is a train wreck.
also, the convenient sword. When she goes to fight another conveniently placed item.
The door.
Yeah, she's just like, oh, let's fight with swords. All of a sudden, she just leaps up and a sword's right there. It's like, how convenient.
Nice,
Again, another conveniently placed item.
They're not even like ornately placed or anything.
I
There
know.
are 4 swords all facing the same way on what looks like a fucking a serving platter right above the door. They're not like crossed.
It's like, we can't dare make this movie like 5 minutes longer. We better make sure she just leaps up and, the item's there so she doesn't have to go out of her way to grab it,
Don't forget the most ultimate convenience of all, the way she dies in the end. How convenient,
Yeah, it was her own
oh,
sword.
sunshine, that's what that is. But
Yeah.
That's the whole reason.
Just giving it away.
She wants the blood the entire movie. She gets the blood. She gets that power for 2.5 seconds.
That's not common.
Then she's dead. It's like, why was that in the movie?
Lesson to vampires too.
Why?
Why does she need 4 liters of it?
And then
only
spills
to
most of
drink
it.
2, and then just takes the chalice.
And why was
smashes
she
it on the
cool
ground.
with one of her servants making love to the fucking Lycans, and she knew she was a traitor? Why was she cool with that? She's like, oh, I knew you were doing that. I don't care. What?
Because no one cares in this movie.
How did she expect to survive? She wasn't part of anything.
Even the characters didn't care what
She
happened.
was a sub bad guy who's gonna die anyway. Like,
How
there's
did
no
those
way
two
she's gonna live.
even meet?
All right.
That made no sense.
How did Marius?
We gotta wrap this up.
Yeah, it's a
We can go on all
It is a
night.
rabbit hole.
I can't
people-
believe this movie could possibly get a 3, right, guys?
No, I'm hard on my 2, and
I gotta tell you, though, if we
I'm
make
honestly
this-
talking about it, I feel like I should have gave it lower.
We can't talk anymore about because if we make this video 30 minutes longer, it'll be just as long as the movie.
But it'll be more entertaining.
Yeah.
So this has been the review for Underworld Blood Wars. You can follow us at We Promise Nothing. Drop the G on Twitter. You can follow us on Instagram. We Promise Nothing with a G. You can also give us a big old like on Facebook. We like when you do that. And of course, you can always check us out on YouTube, where you should be watching this video. You can like, subscribe, and share, and even comment. I don't even care if you comment, say, I commented just to comment. Just give us comments, give us likes. We love seeing that. We thank you to all the fans and subscribers that do listen to all our content. We got some big stuff coming up in 2017, so it wouldn't happen without any of you guys listening to us, so I thank you for that. This
That was
is
one of the Lycans.
This is Jpar setting out.
I can't unsee this movie. This is Clayton signing out.
This is Myles. I'm gonna go drink.
Jeez.
Da Boo's just gonna go bye-bye.
And if you disagree with anything we said on the show today, you can leave a comment below. But as always, we promise nothing. Good night.
Is it just me, or when she came back with the white jacket and the frosted tips, I swear to God that she just walked off the set of a porno? Like,
Just you.
she
Ooh.
really?
Yeah.
Because that's what I saw. I was like, you look like you're going somewhere to take your clothes off.
To do what?
Act in an alternative movie.
Alternative.
Alternative, you say?
I just got that. Like,
You just got your own joke?
I just got that. No, I mean that's just what I
Like,
got
is
from
that
that
what you
scene. I was
did? Like when you went to
I
Blockbuster wouldn't have this, but you go to like a corner store. It's like, I'd like to see your alternative video section.
Sir, you're a terrible person. Please get out of our store. This is a place of business.